over the conduct and actions of county employees. And so I asked for that to be put into the public health ordinance. Second thing is that we have in our government, we have this system of checks and balances, okay? So there's a legislative function, there's an executive function, and there's a judicial function. And so it is of my belief, and this committee's belief, that there's a legislative function that this committee has a responsibility to participate with, which is oversight and review to making sure that county employees and things that come from this county are subject to our review, because we're elected. We have this constitutional, we think an oath and all that. The executive function falls to law enforcement. And so I did not, and I do not support the idea of a county employee having the ability to issue an order and then also have the responsibility of enforcing that order. We have a constitutionally elected sheriff who has deputies and who has a constitutional responsibility of carrying out the different ordinances and responsibilities that we have. And they do that every day. And I want to make sure that no one here disparages our law enforcement department, because they have triple duty. That not only do they have to make sure that they provide law and order, but they also have a duty to protect our safety and then also promote, the positive image of Sawyer County. Those were revisions that this committee had voted on and sent back for review with our corporate counsel. That's the position that this body has. So if you have issues with that, you're free to bring them up. If you want to support what those were, you can do that. I know that this issue is on the Health and Human Services Committee, which is Tuesday evening. Is that correct?
Tuesday at 6:30, and that'll be in the large courtroom. That's when we planned on accommodating more people. So.
Okay. So with that being said, I'm going to call the meeting to order. We got to go through some things here, and then what we need to do is, I think I got at least one member who's appearing virtually. So I need to get another chair there so I can make sure that you guys can sit next to Lieutenant Rapinski and that your voice can be heard on the microphone. Does everybody understand what I've explained? All right. So with that, I'm going to call the October Public Safety meeting to order. I'm going to do a roll call because I don't have video, so I don't know who's here. So Helen Dennis.
Here.
Dale Schlueter.
Here.
Ron Buckholz.
Present.
Chuck Van Etten. Chuck, can you hear me?
Yeah, he says he's unmuted. He is here. You put a thumbs up, so I'm assuming you can hear us.
All right. Okay. Madam Clerk, are we in compliance with open meetings laws?
Yes.
All right. The meeting agenda has been presented. Is there any questions about the agenda? All right. Next, we're going to public comment. Public comment is open to 3 minutes. Do your best to stay within 3 minutes. If you go over, please don't go over too much. I'm not going to point fingers or whatever. They may make fun of you after you leave, though. Go ahead. And then state your name.
Don Waffenberg.
Okay.
I realize that the proposal of health ordinance is not on the agenda, but I come here with a bunch of people today that have our concerns about that because it's going to the board on Tuesday night. And for one question we have is, what is the recommendation from this committee to the county board that night, and how did that come up? Was it voted on? Was it a documented vote, etc.? But we oppose the public health order or ordinances. To give the power to a county health officer to make these ordinances and make them enforceable by law enforcement, we feel is totally inappropriate. Associated with fines, the ability to shut down businesses, etc. Along with this, those ordinances there's all kinds of stuff out there we know from both sides, what's pro, what's con, what's good, what's bad, and to give all that power to one person to make that arbitrary decision on their own is totally not acceptable to a lot of the people that we're here with today. So I just would like to know the recommendations and how those recommendations came about and what's gonna go forth on Tuesday night, if it's still gonna go forward or how it's gonna go legislatively.
All right, so one of the things that we have in our county board rules, and I say this just because we have to try to expedite, is we don't really engage with public comment because we want the public to be able to speak freely to the board, and we collect that information, and then we have other venues within the agenda to respond. So unless I get some kind of motion or direction from the committee, I can take your comments, but I can't respond. That's why I tried to address what I could beforehand.
Okay.
So,
Okay, with that said, I'm sure there's other people that'd like to speak about other issues regarding the public health ordinances and the appropriateness.
Hi, Peggy Dobbs. I received a message Sunday morning from a person who is very familiar with this business owner. Her question to me was, Jill at Lakewood Cafe in Winter had a Sawyer County board member come in today and said if they don't adhere to wearing masks, the county is going to shut them down. I want to make that statement. I mean, I want it known here. A lot of BS. And I hope to God that that's not on board with that county.
Okay.
Just want to make you aware of it.
next.
Elsie Gensmer. I also want to communicate the fact that, 75 emails that come from Mr. Becker in communication from HHS has literally we've only received 3 emails. 2 of them were in April during the state mandate, communicating their PDF documents that were given from the state, transferred into Sawyer County documents, so they had the header and everything. So when the state mandate started in March, 18th or whatever, we received an email from HHS a week after that mandate started. So they could just make it all look cute or whatever it is, nice and professional. So then when Evers got turned over May, Wednesday night, we didn't get anything from the county after that got turned over. So we had just gotten, people were just out as businesses looking on their own to find the resources for us to operate without any communication from HHS. So when we got turned over in May, a week before Memorial Weekend, where we are all up in arms, like, do you take advantage of this or do you take the safety measures? We chose not to open Labor Day weekend because we had no guidelines, 0 from the county. So now we could have gotten one from the county saying, hey team, we have this, things have changed, We're gonna let you, here's the documents that were last given. Please pull as you see appropriate for your businesses, as you see fit, how things operate, because it goes from corporate to, a small facility. As you see fit. We chose to do that as a business. We own Anglers Haven Resort. We chose that as we saw fit, and we changed over time as the public wanted certain things, and we saw still being a safety measure. Now we heard from HHS maybe 2.5 weeks ago saying, don't forget to print off your poster, Sawyer Strong. That's it, nothing. As a business, we shut down 2 months ago to being a to-go restaurant by choice because my husband and I cannot get COVID. Otherwise, we'll have to close our business for 10 days because we'll be quarantined together. But we've literally, as businesses, I'm just speaking for businesses because I know the emails that I've been receiving and who's been receiving those emails, there's been 0 communication. So now from hearing this going onto the agenda to having Julia Lyons being in charge and deciding who's going to shut down, we haven't heard from him in the first place. There's been nothing. To now all of a sudden getting a knock on the door to saying you have to shut down because you're not doing this. So now we're responsible to do our own research. Go to CDC, call these guys, call these guys. What are you guys doing? What are you guys doing? Well, you got COVID. What are you guys doing now? Because we don't have any guidelines to say if or when your staff contracts COVID, this is what you're gonna do. So now if, heaven forbid, I get COVID, we'll have to just lock the doors and wait till HHS gets a hold of us 2.5 days later to figure out what the heck we're actually supposed to be doing. So I just want to make that noted that that's actually the communication that 75+ businesses have been receiving from HHS since March. Thank you.
My name's John Zernecki. I'd like to touch a little bit what Kelsey said. Back in July, I was in front of this board in this very room, and I was asked by this chairman to leave the room twice with threat of law enforcement because he himself did not know what the current county rules were regarding masks. And no one could know because the county public health office did not update their website when they put new rules into effect. They were not available to the public to find. So to think that we can trust them or any government body to have our best interests at heart, while I appreciate all of you who work in the government and volunteer your time or are employed by the government, and I respect you, I can't trust you to take and look out for me. I think we all have an individual responsibility to take care of ourselves, and the idea to give human services finding power and the ability to write their own rules and enforce them is ludicrous. Thank you.
Next. Anybody else? Going once? I know someone else wants to talk.
I'd like to go on record and speak for most of us when I say that
I
blue
just
lives
need to get
matter.
on-
That's all I wanted to say. Blue lives matter. I want these guys to know that they're appreciated. That's
Okay.
all.
Hi, I'm Claudia Methman, and I do not own a business, but I love our community and love to be part of all these different businesses. And I guess what I say as a patron to all these places is it's our personal, it is not a constitutional, you cannot constitutionally tell me I have to wear a mask. I know there's mandates, but it's each of our responsibility to take care of ourselves. If you don't like being out and not wearing a mask, you don't like doing that, then stay home and don't do it. But for some woman who I don't know who she is, but this person come in and be able to go and shut down these businesses because she feels like it is so wrong. It just doesn't make 1 ounce of sense to me. And I'm not a business owner. I'm just a person that lives in Hayward. And I just think it's absolutely wrong. And yes, we love all you guys. You do a great job. Thank you very much.
Next.
Name is Marty Gall, and I operate amusement devices, and not just this county, but about 7 or 8 others. This has gone to other counties where it has ultimately failed because people need to run their businesses. And if people are afraid of the COVID, we don't really want them in our businesses. They should stay home until things are taken care of. It's just like strip joints. If people don't like those, they should not go there either. I've been to several of these meetings, different counties. They're taking a stand, standing behind us. And I hope this does the same. Appreciate your loyalty.
Next. Anybody else? Going once? Twice?
Just given all this that we've heard today, I'd like to see this committee take the whole thing off the agenda for Tuesday night and maybe revisit it in a couple months to see what else is happening. But I don't see how this can go forward from this point on. Thank you.
Can I say something?
Absolutely. Come on up.
Okay, I just, it's similar to what she said, but I'll just share. So when the,
Can you say your name for the record?
Chelsea Tremblay, when the Supreme Court thing happened, and I'm not sure exactly when, we did go, and my dad, Charles Tremblay, actually made a call to our health inspector and the public nurse to ask them what we should do, because our health inspector had come down saying like, hey, you should shut down your self-serve, your Jelly Belly, your, pick candies, but he didn't give us any like real, like just kind of said you should shut all this down. So we called when we knew we could open, and we left several voicemails. I emailed, and so on, and we never heard back from anyone. Like, she didn't even give us the time of day. So then when I hear something like this, it seems kind of like they should have tried to give us some more guidelines before they would just come in and say like, hey, we're going to shut you down, or we're going to do this or that, when we had really nothing. And we actually were one of those people who did try to reach out. And our employees have the same thing. Like we've had kids that are like, my brother or my sister has COVID, what do we do? And we just kind of say, well, did someone call you from the health department? And their answer is almost always no. So then it puts us in a position like with 14-year-old kids, like I don't know what to tell them. And they're not getting any guidance from the health department. So that's what I say.
Next. Anybody else?
Hi, I'm Karen Sheldrup. I'm just a resident, but I do want to point out of all the facilities that we've been in, all the businesses, the owners care so much about our safety, and they have taken such care to make sure that their businesses are clean, that we're respected, and we respect them. And I think the county health services needs to understand how much we do care about our community. And we do care that everyone stays safe. And I believe our business owners are taking it upon themselves to do an excellent job with that. And so just take care of us. Thank you.
Anybody else? Anybody else wish to address the committee at this time? Going once? Going twice? All right. Public comment is complete. Mr. Hopp?
Yeah, just a point of clarification, on Tuesday evening, that is another committee, just like this is a committee of the board. So a Health and Human Services Committee, that will be on the agenda, and you're welcome to come again and discuss your concerns at the Health and Human Service Board. And then any revisions that come out of there, that board would send it on to the county board, the full county board, if they opted to do that. So, that's the committee that'll be on the agenda. It's in the large courtroom Tuesday evening, 6:30 p.m. So you're welcome to voice your concerns there as well.
Is there any place we can get a copy of that document?
Yeah, that's the final revisions are I think done yesterday, so we'll get it on probably, let's see, sometime today. So that'll be on the agenda. So if you look at the Health and Human Services agenda, it'll be an attachment on that agenda on the website. Thank you.
And moving on, has the committee had a chance to review the minutes from last meeting?
Yes, I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
I have a motion from Mr. Buckle. I have a second from Ms. Dennis. Any discussion? Any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none. Call for a vote on the approval of the minutes as presented. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Chuck, can you hear me? Okay, so you're unmuted, but we can't hear you.
Understand, it's okay, hear you, Chuck.
All right, well, Chuck, we're gonna move forward. It's gonna be frustrating. All right. So the minutes are approved. Next, we go to item number 6, budget presentation.
Yeah, thank you. I believe so, yeah. Okay. So we do have just some summary documents where we're at with the budget for these departments under the jurisdiction of the public safety. We did give you the full detail last month, so this is a summary. There were just some slight changes from what you saw last time, but we just want to bring a few things to your attention as we go forward, because the budgets will be presented in each committee again in October, and then at the October county board meeting, the full budget will be presented to the county board. The administrator's budget goes to the county board in October, and then it's the county board's prerogative to make any changes to that budget before it's adopted in November. So, as you get in with the full board, just to have a better understanding of what's happening with these departments, we'll just kind of go over briefly what's in front of you with the summary sheets, and I have a few comments about each one as well, and then if you have additional questions, we can cover that too. As far as the circuit court goes, the circuit court, the judge and his staff are paid by the state. The county does pick up the cost of the facilities and whatnot. And of course, the discussion about the second courtroom and how that fits into the 21 budget, until that gets finalized, there's not any definite thing in the budget yet. We do have a $7 million placeholder in the capital improvement plan, anticipating the building of that facility if the county board so wishes. We're continuing on planning that facility. It'll be on the Public Works agenda on Wednesday, just an update on where we're at with that planning process. And so that court would be operational by 2023. So we would have some construction and whatnot occurring probably next year. And when that does happen, if that does happen, we would be presented with the costs and the funding mechanism for that. So other than that, status quo pretty much for the circuit court. The clerk of courts, we did add a half position last year, so they're set staff-wise for this year. The DA's office, they were awarded an additional assistant in 2020. That position is paid for by the state. However, we do fund some of the support staff, and so the DA requested a half position support staff in 2021. So that is within the budget. The DA currently has 2 assistants. They are fully staffed, so there's a district attorney plus 2 assistants currently. So that extra half-time support staff would be helpful in that office. So that is currently in the budget. Child support, no changes in staffing there. Bigger departments, Sheriff's Department. There's been a couple of changes there, namely an additional rec officer has been designated from existing staff, so that's not a added position, but it's a redesignation of existing staff. So you'll see the rec budget on these reports shows an increase. That's what that is. So there was a slight decrease in the Sheriff's Department budget as that transfer occurs in 2021.
I'm gonna need to interrupt you for a second. All right, so I'm having audio problems. Chuck, I see your note. I don't have the ability to fix your microphone. It's either something with your phone, but you're unmuted here, and I can see that you're unmuted, but I can't hear you. Is there a device that's plugged into your phone? No. Okay. Is there any possibility you can come inside and be in the meeting? No? All right. So I got to do lip reading if you want to talk, so. All right, well, Chuck, when you get a chance later today, if you can, was gonna check this. All right. Welcome to the 21st century. Okay, all right. Chuck is only able to be here virtually. Chuck, if you have a chance, sometime today, tomorrow, if you're gonna be in the Surrey County, can you bring your devices in so that Mike can take a look at that so we can figure out why you're being muted? It's coming from your end, and we tried to unmute you from our end. Okay? So keep trying, talk when you can, and we'll see what we can do to try to get that resolved.
You can call your cell phone, you can put it on speaker.
Chuck, you want to call my phone? It was a less than enthusiastic response. So. Chuck, can you hear us?
I can.
All right.
Hold on, let me read this. I know it's not me, I just thought I was about to say.
Okay.
Like 5 minutes before I started this one. There's something out here.
All right, well, Chuck, you're here now, so.
You can hear it through here. There you go. Okay, that should be good.
All right. Chuck, can you still hear us?
Yes.
All right, okay. So right now, we're doing the budget presentation from Mr. Hoff. Mr. Hoff, please continue.
Okay, we're just going through the various departments. The sheet you have in front of you, the first page is revenues, and the second page is expenditures. So as you go through these lists, as you look at the different departments, there's a line item on the revenue side for each department and on the expense side for each department. The revenues are generally lower than the expenses, and the difference is what ends up on the tax roll. So some of the revenue coming in are other various fees, either permits or state or federal aid, other payments to the county other than tax revenue. So if you look at a department and you say, well, the revenues don't equal the expenses, that's because that difference is what ends up on the tax roll. So the total difference for these departments is about $6.5 million. So that's the tax levy amount for these departments that shores up the difference between the revenues and the expenses. So again, going forward with the sheriff's department, talked about the rec officer being designated from existing staff. We're currently in bargaining with the union. This is the only union left after Act 10, so those negotiations continue. We had a 3-year contract with that union that expires at the end of this year, so those negotiations will set the wages for that union for the next time period as determined by that bargaining effort. We've got the coroner, status quo there, no changes. Emergency management, no major changes. Criminal justice, we do have some changes. We've been discussing that in not only criminal justice coordinating committee, but in this committee as well. The hiring of Justice Point to help us out in this interim period as we kind of restructure the programs being coordinated through that effort. The ambulance department, obviously, the Ojibwa station is now up and running in 2020. The staffing has not changed, although we are seeing changes within that environment as we hear from other entities outside the county and their struggles to find staff and looking for help. So that, you know, the good news is that our staffing has remained pretty consistent. We are fully staffed, and you know, the thing is running as intended. So that's a good thing. And at this point, I just want to mention as well the efforts of this committee in getting the ambulance service to where it is today. And a lot of those efforts stem from the efforts of committee member Helen Dennis, and this is her last public safety committee meeting. So I just wanted to acknowledge, you know, when I came here over 5 years ago, 5.5 years ago, this was a pretty contentious topic, and Helen Dennis was, you know, pretty much a leader in giving some help to the southern part of the county as far as ambulance service. Others as well, you know, the longtime members, Dale Schleter, Bill Voigt, Mr. Buckholz, you know, really put in a lot of effort over the years. And a lot of that was spearheaded by Ms. Dennis, and I appreciate learning from you as I came in, and the efforts that you made to make the ambulance service what it is today. I think is greatly appreciated by county residents. So thank you, Helen Dennis.
Record reflected, this is the first time in the history of Sawyer County that we had applause during a budget presentation.
So if you have specific questions on any of the budgets, you can ask them at this time, or as we go through the department reports, if you've got specific questions, we can handle that at that time as well.
Chuck, do you have any questions regarding the budget presentation? Do you have any comments from the committee? Anybody here who wishes to address the budget presentation from Mr. Hoff? Hearing none, moving on to item number 7, judge's report. Honor, you have the floor.
Can you hear me, Jim?
Yep, I can hear you.
All right. I don't have a lot today. Otherwise, the only thing that I really want to say, first of all, I want to concur what Tom said about Helen Dennis. Helen, since I met her about 5 years ago, has always been an open ear to some of the issues that the circuit court has been dealing with in the clerk's office and the criminal justice system from our end. She sat with me a while back in, I think probably it was 2016, in court to kind of view some of our security concerns. And she has always had an open ear and has been supportive of our efforts here in trying to help keep justice going here in Sawyer County. So I would just concur with what Tom said, and thank you very much for your service to Sawyer County, Helen. My report here today is just simply giving the committee and the people in the courthouse a heads up. We were lucky to be able to have a jury trial come off the calendar today and tomorrow. Otherwise, we would have needed that assembly room due to our operating procedures approved under the Supreme Court, which require overflow and enough social distancing for selecting a jury. It was I believe, a sexual assault case that was scheduled for today. But I do want to make everyone aware that next week, right now, we have a jury trial set for Monday, and then a sexual assault trial set for the Thursday and Friday of next week. And then on the week of the 12th, we have a 2-day trial on the 14th and the 15th. So there is a chance and a possibility that on the 15th, if we have a jury trial that goes late, the county board will not be able to meet in the large courtroom because we will have a jury trial going. We set it for 2 days, and usually jury trials will get done by the afternoon of the second day, but there's no promises. And then the week of the 19th, we have a jury trial. And then on the week of the 26th, we have an out-of-county judge has a 3-day jury trial. That's Judge Anderson on the 26th, 27th, and 28th. And I have a 2-day jury trial on the 29th and 30th. So, and then the week after that, let me see, that's the first week. No, I have a jury trial on the 2nd of November. Then there's jury trials on the following week on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So with the out-of-county judges, we are experiencing an uptick in the number of jury trials that are scheduled. We've tried to meet with the district court administrator because generally speaking, we were in the first and third weeks of the month that we're doing jury trials to open up our calendar. But now with 3 judges, and the reason I say 3 judges is because they have John Anderson coming in, and they have Angie Witten coming in with some cases, and they're all scheduling cases. So now it's like you've got almost potentially 3 branches, at least 3 different judges who are sitting in Sawyer County scheduling jury trials in one courtroom. So this I guess ties into what Mr. Hoff was saying about the yet to be approved second courtroom, and hopefully that is still moving forward. But there's a real risk that if that doesn't happen, that we're looking at the new normal here, where we're going to be having out-of-county judges, at least for the near term, because I know that the district court administrator has said that that's not a solution here as far as just relying on those out-of-county judges. But they're not going to take any cases away, and there's plenty of cases to go around. I just want to make everybody aware that I know that these jury trials, a lot of them do come off. There's a high percentage that come off. But if they do happen to go, and we've had like 2 jury trials in the last 2 or 3 weeks, and they were both out-of-county judges, things can get kind of busy around the courthouse, and assembly rooms may be used, and potentially the county board will be displaced from the courtroom if those jury trials are scheduled on that day. So that's all I have to say. That I guess that's just a heads up that we've got a busy October. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions for the judge from anybody from the committee members? Any other discussion from anybody from the floor? Judge, thank you for your report. Moving on now to clerk report, number 8 on the agenda. Normally we'd have you speak into the mic, but our ambulance director co-opted it, so.
Good morning. The only thing I wanted to add to my report that I submitted was I had neglected to thank the IT department as well for helping us with the jury trials, because they came into the assembly room and the UW extension and logged into Judge Winton's Zoom so that we could comply with all of the open court proceedings to allow visitors to observe the jury trial, because there was not enough room in the large courtroom with all of the jurors, so for them to be able to come in and sit and watch the proceedings. Plus, we were, one of the things we struggled with was trying to sequester witnesses and finding locations. Where do we put them? Where do we keep the state's witness away from the defense witness? It's just another issue and another reason we need that second courtroom. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for the clerk report, or any questions of the report? Hearing none, moving on. Thank you for your report. District Attorney. Anybody here from the District Attorney's office? We have the virtual. Okay, the report from the DA. Moving on now to child support. We received a report from Ms. Okamoto. Is there any questions or comments regarding the report that's been submitted from child support? Hearing none, the reports received. Moving on now to number 11, the Sheriff's Department. Sheriff, the floor is yours.
I would just like to not only thank Helen for years of service, but the committee and the county board at large. Everybody's been great to work with. Helen, we're going to miss you, and we thank you for everything you've done here in your years of service. We continue to deal with many heroin overdoses, meth as well, but heroin is becoming more and more out of control, and the documented cases continue to increase, and we will never know how many undocumented or unknown cases there are, because with Narcan floating out there, many times, they're able to revive them, and they don't even call for assistance and added services. So there are many undocumented cases out there additional. We did have 2 more traffic fatalities in the last month, one involving a school bus. We will be meeting with state DOT on a conference call here in a couple of weeks for further details. The state of Wisconsin is also very concerned when you're dealing with school bus accidents. So that conference call will go on, and we will share information there. The total investigation is not totally completed, so a lot of the information is not released. None of the information is released yet. So with that, I'll yield to the Chief Deputy.
Here, my dispatch report. The dispatch center is again working, on a federal 911 grant. The grant matches 60% of any of the costs. They're looking to purchase a 911 portable phone system and replace the communication center recording software. At last month's fire association meeting, we did come to a final agreement on the Grip and Ground rapid notification software. Come to agreement on the purchase and the upkeep of that, so we'll be moving forward with that. Corey will be meeting with North Memorial Air Care in regards to emergency medical dispatch. Effective May 1st, 2021, all dispatch centers have to have the capability of administering cardiopulmonary resuscitation over the phone. So we have two options, and Corey's opted to probably transfer those phone lines. So he's working on that. Total number of calls for September was considerably down from July and August, and also the total calls to service.
All right, I'm going to interrupt for 1 second. Chuck had a question that I wasn't able to get into here. So, Sheriff, to you, how many traffic fatalities have we had in the county? Do you have that number?
We have had 11 traffic fatalities to date so far in Sawyer County.
And where does that put us in terms of previous years?
We have capped a record this year. We typically average 2 a year.
Chuck, can you still speak, or do you have any other questions? Okay. All right. Chief Deputy, your report. Any questions for the Chief Deputy? Mr. Schleter.
Could you back up a little bit? The people in the 911 office are going to be required to talk somebody through CPR. Where did that mandate come from?
The state.
The state. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions for the Chief Deputy? Chuck, you got any questions for the Chief Deputy? All right, moving on to Lieutenant Rapinski.
The patrol report is up there. You see that for previous months, we had a total of 956 calls for service, which if you compare it to the Chief Deputy's report for the total CAD calls reported in dispatch, the Sheriff's Department received the vast majority of those calls. We are downward trend though from the summer months, which reflects the people going back to school and going back to their from their seasonal homes. We are officially awarded the 2020-2021 BOP grant money. We can now start deployments between now each month until next September. We'll be focusing our deployments in conjunction with the Highway Safety Committee to address some of these areas where fatalities have happened and see if our presence in.
Anything for Lieutenant Rapinski? Chuck, you got any comment for a lieutenant? No. Lieutenant Johnson.
All right, my jail report for September is attached there. I guess to comply with the agenda being posted 24 hours out. This was as of the 28th or 29th, morning of the 29th. But nothing a whole lot there. As you can see, numbers are down slightly with electronic monitoring. That's primarily because the court has not been sending people to report to serve. That date is next Thursday, October 8th. So we anticipate a very large influx in not only population, but Huber inmates that are eligible for electronic monitoring, et cetera.
You scroll down to the next report. Oh, yeah, population. What capacity are we running at right now with the jail population?
As of today, we have 64 in-house, or I'm sorry, 64 inmates, 60 in-house. We have the one Huber transfer. We have one that we've been sitting on at the hospital down in Eau Claire for seems like forever. And then we have 2 on electronic monitoring.
Any questions for the jail lieutenant? Chuck, anything? No questions? All right, moving on now to animal control report. We have a report from Sherry. Any questions on that? Hearing none. Sheriff, you have any last? Moving on to the coroner's report. Coroner is not present. Number 13, emergency management report.
Good morning. I just want to start off by saying I want to give great thanks to Helen for being such an asset here on public safety. She's also a good friend of mine. I'm going to miss you here, and I think our community is going to miss you down in the southern part of the section too, because you represented us so well. So thank you. You have my report in front of you. Majority of my time is taken up on PPE. I've got shipments every other Wednesday. Today I'm doing distribution from 1 to 4 to all the healthcare facilities. I used to deliver it to them, and I'm making them come to me because the amounts are so much and I don't have a truck big enough. I think last week or the week before, I gave out 22,000 gowns and masks to Hayward Hospital. They've been having trouble getting their PPE, and with the COVID, they have to swap out their PPE so much that they just can't keep up. So, I mean, we do have an influx in COVID here. It is impacting everybody. I used to really, really love this job, but since COVID and PPE, I'm beginning to really think retirement looks good, but that won't be for another 10 years, unfortunately. The really cool thing is we've had those masks right there that we got like thousands of them. We had kids tie-dye them, and we had 2 families tie-dye 1,000 each, and they'll be going off to the schools. So the schools will have some really cool masks to wear to swap out. So I'm just trying to keep everything together and keeping people covered in PPE. So, any questions on our report?
How much money has been spent on PPE? Zero?
Zero. This is all through the state and through FEMA. So every other week I get an order in and I distribute it, and then I get another order in. Matt Rydell is here. He's the tribal emergency manager. He's my counterpart. And I think you can attest that that's kind of what we do.
Yeah, I tried to spend a little money, but for the most part, it's been getting it through the state. I'm actually serving as a.
So you're gonna have to, I got people virtual, I need to either shout or.
I'm also serving on the committee with the state. We'll be determining going forward what the plan will be for further distribution. Planning with regards to what types of PPE will be going out, how long, what the stand down time looks like when they, at some point, will decide that it's not going to be the state's burden. So I will make sure Pat is aware as we move forward in that process.
Any questions for Ms. Sanchez on her report? Any questions for Mr. Rydell since he volunteered to speak at the meeting? All right, your report is received. Communication specialist report. Any questions from the committee on that for Mr. Krupp? No. Hearing none, moving on now to the criminal justice coordinating update. We met last month, and we have seated our new members, Catherine Floyd, Gary Hildendorf. We're in discussions because the MOU between the tribe and the county expires in July or in June or January. And so we're in discussions to renew that MOU to help offset some of the budget concerns. And that has been, from my understanding, the negotiations for the MOU are now given to the joint LCO Sawyer County Committee, and they are working on the MOU. So any questions about that? Hearing none, ambulance report. The floor is yours.
So just like Pat said, we're having issues just like Hayward Hospital with obtaining PPE, which is nothing new for us during this COVID. We've started, well, we're trying to help Health and Human Services on screening along with some jurors and whatever else for the court for COVID. Hopefully we'll be able to help them because I know they've been overwhelmed. Also, we're starting to hopefully plan for vaccination clinics. Normally we help with flu vaccinations in the schools. And we were starting to plan with that, but it sounds like they're not doing their usual parent-teacher conferences that we normally do that at. So they're working on a different plan for that. And then hopefully the end theory is that we can then help when COVID vaccinations come out. Call volume, just like dispatch's reporting, has been down but we're still up from where we were last year for this month. Yeah, just been busy. And then we do have a couple of open positions, but we're filling those internally. So we're not getting too much of a crunch there. Other than that, that's all I really have for a balance report. Tom, do you want to talk about Washburn County?
Yeah, we did come up with, the billing mechanism that we would charge outside entities. And I don't have the numbers in front of me, but we are going to get a little bit more money this year from the Washburn County entities that use our service, or Washburn towns, Washburn County town. But I don't have that in front of me.
I believe it's going to be $40 per diem per capita. And we were hoping that would be not as much of a sticker shock, and then
bump it up even more the following year.
Dennis.
What's happening with the billing? That's all settled?
So we're still waiting on a meeting. From what I understand is the new owner of the billing company is just met staff at the billing company this week. So we're hoping that he gets the rounds done.
You're not leaving for a good billing company in place?
Are you gonna do our billing for us?
How big of an increase was that? 40, up to $40?
So current, I'm reading it right. Well, it will be about 50,000 is what all three townships will be paying. I don't have the current one.
But I was asking about the number, $40.
$40 per capita.
How big of an increase per capita is that?
I don't know. It wasn't, Tom, do you know?
I don't have that,
And then how much more of an increase would it have to be to get them paying equal to, or approximately equal to what Sawyer County taxpayers are paying?
If I remember right, I believe it's about 60 per capita.
And are all four counties or townships, Washburn County townships involved?
That'd be three. Stone Lake, Bass Lake, and then half of Birchwood.
The other township has chosen not to participate?
Yep, this doesn't include them. And I did, because that was the question last month of how many times we'll be going over. I did get the numbers from Washburn County Dispatch, and it's not that much. It is a mutual request from North Memorial, first and out.
Okay, but that would make Stinnett all the more profitable for us to get them to use our services like the other three counties. So have you had a meeting with them about doing that?
We have not, no.
Did you call them?
I have not talked to them, no.
Why?
We were just trying to figure out the three townships, and then until we came up with the formula or how we were going to do that, then we would talk with them. But they are running on our mutual aid request because their primary is Nori.
Okay, but are you going to talk to them
Yes.
soon so that they can possibly hire us?
Yep.
Because that would be a lot of money coming in from very little cost. We should not let that opportunity go by. Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Any other comments or questions for me? All right, moving on to number 16, future agenda items. Is there any items that committee would like on for next month's agenda? Hearing none, we're now to number 17. I got three issues that are coming up, but the first thing I want to do is I want to do the floor to Ms. Dennis.
Oh, I did not expect all of this. Didn't expect the flowers. This has not been an easy decision for me. But sometimes life throws us a curveball. And I'm not gonna cry. I'm gonna start with Jeff. It's okay, relax.
Like, what did I do?
You asked me to sit in on an interview, and I was very honored by that. I learned a lot, and I think you did a great job.
Thank you. And I appreciated the
help. I know the hours you put in and the time you put in, and I appreciate it, and I'm sure all the board members appreciate it too.
Thank you.
Thank you. Joe. We were both born and raised in the same little town. So I've known your family for years. I appreciate everything you have done. I know the hours you've put in, the sacrifices you've made. And on a lighter side, I had a niece who was madly in love with you in high school. And it got so ridiculous that every time I seen her, I wanted to bark. Not that you weren't a good guy, but yeah, she just wouldn't let it go. But anyway, I appreciate everything you do. Greg, you are an asset to this committee. You're a great guy. You were a little wild in your younger days, but thank God you chose this profession because we need you. Thank you. Nate, you've been amazing. I wish we'd have had you sooner on the ambulance as ambulance director. But moving forward, I know you're going to do a great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
And the sheriff. When the first time I met you actually was at the LCO convenience store. I think it was my first month on the county board. And I remember walking up to you, not really knowing who you were, and thanking you for the job that you've done in serving our community. I was a little skeptical, I'll be honest, when Mark left us and you became, because you had some big shoes to fill. You've done a great job. I love that you have the open door policy that Mark had. You've always returned my text messages and my calls, probably more than you wanted to, but I wanted to thank you. Thank you. Pat, I can't leave anybody out here, I'm sorry. Ooh. You are a gem. You are. You've had a very, very tough year, but your commitment to Sawyer County has never wavered. The time and the hours that you put in, the lifting the boxes for PP, has been amazing. I see what you do, but you're also my dearest friend, and I love you. Thank you. Mr. Hawk. You, again, so many people are great here. It's just hard to put into words, but the best thing this county ever did was hiring you. Yes, your hair is grayer. I probably caused some of that. But the work that you put in, the dedication, and I often tease you saying, get out while the getting's good, but you know, you've stuck with us, and I appreciate everything that you do for us. Thank you very much. Thank you. Carol, you two are leaving. Yours was one that you wanted to do. Mine actually wasn't, but I appreciate the work that you put in, and I'm sure everyone's going to miss you. I suppose I should do something with the board. James, I'm not being professional here. You're chairman, big deal. But whatever. We've had our moments. We rib each other a lot, but we've always agreed to disagree. You've been a good friend. You're doing a great job. I'm going to miss you. Please keep your comments down. You know, I may surprise you and show up sometimes. I may have to tell you that again. But Mr. Buckles.
Yes.
We have known each other for many, many years. You, like Greg, were a little wild in your younger days, but you've gotten better. I appreciate your friendship. You've been an asset to the entire county board, especially this committee. And gonna miss being here with you.
And I'm gonna miss working with you. We've been on quite a few committees together.
But we're friends and we will still communicate.
Exactly, we will.
Gail. He looks like, we've had some debates. And in fact, that was the first time I swore at this meeting. Probably wasn't the last, but I admire your dedication. You've done a great job. Wish you could talk a little louder at times, but I'm thanking you for the service that you've given to this county. It's been a number of years, and I appreciate your advice and everything that went with that.
That's very kind. Thank you.
Thank you for talking about. Anyway,
we can do it.
This was a hard decision, and as most of you know, this was my very favorite committee that I was on, because you're all dedicated, you're all champions in my book. And I'm going to shut up now because I'm probably going to cry. Thank you.
Thanks. Any other discussion from the committee members?
I got one question. Why do we not have Pledge of Allegiance on the agenda on this committee? Is there a reason that it was never on there? If not, I would like to see it be on our agenda.
We can put it on there. I mean, we do it at the county board. I guess it's kind of hit or miss. It's an oversight, it's not any kind of deliberate type of action. If you want it on there, we can put it on there.
Well, I believe it should be on there. I mean, I don't know how many other committees. I know a few of them that have it on there that we put. And I believe it should be on there.
Okay. All right, so I got a couple things. One is the good and the bad. So on Saturday, there was a demonstration that was held in Hayward, and as is the want for this country this last probably couple of years, there's been a lot of hyper-partisan discussion. After the rally had concluded, there were still people that were participating and expressing their viewpoints, and racial epithets and other conduct had ensued from that. I want to make sure that it's recorded in the minutes that this county board, this committee itself, does not condone the use of racial epithets. It respects everyone's ability to speak freely in support of their political views, and it does not condone the violence or the other type of actions that precipitated from that rally. The rally itself is not the cause of my concern. It's the racial epithets that were directed at some of the people that were there. There was the use of BB guns and some other types of things that are not necessarily conducive to a proper political discourse. And so I just want to be on the record saying that I'm against that conduct, and I support everyone's ability to speak freely. I don't support the right or the idea that political speech includes the use of racial terms that are unnecessary and inappropriate. So I'm sorry to do that because it kind of puts a damper on the parade, but that was troubling to me when I heard about it. And I talked to a few people, and we're trying to see if there could be a statement that could be issued from the county saying that such type of conduct does not reflect Sawyer County, does not reflect the people of this community, and we're better than that. So the next thing I wanted to say is I wanted to acknowledge Carol. This is her last public safety meeting, and when are you done? Well, January. All right. Well, still want to acknowledge Carol. I know that she's departing eventually sometime, and it's been a pleasure to work with her, and I guess we'll bring that up every meeting. Put that on the agenda. And then Helen, it's unfortunate that you're departing, and I am going to miss you. You do actually, as we served on this board together, you taught me a lot, and you helped me connect with the southern part of the county. You taught me things and showed me things in this county that I didn't see before as someone who grew up here. And so I really am appreciative of your work. Helen, as everyone knows, Helen is not afraid to say what she means, and I've gotten a lot of text messages and things about things that I could do to improve myself. But she's also listened and heard some of the things that I had to say, and we learned and grew together. And so I'm saddened by this, but I'm happy that you're going to be free from some of the burdens that come with public service. And so I want to thank you for your service to the county, for your service to this committee, and I hope that we can still have those meals that we do after these different meetings. And so I wish you the best of luck for you and your family, and hug your grandkids for us. You got some amazing, beautiful children. Anything else? Hearing nothing else, this meeting is adjourned.